Welcome to the Opinionated Geek podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Hanna. It's been a while and it's been kind of chaotic. Even today, I had to help with something, so that's why I'm also a little bit late. So far, this has been a crazy, I guess, couple of weeks. And then the on and off with the not being able to uh, do the podcast has been kind of annoying me. And I don't want to, you know, stop doing them. Because if I stop doing them, even like two times in a row, then I'm going to have issues. But overall, since I live in North Carolina, uh, the storm was fine, or the hurricane was fine with me. We had a little bit of a bit of rain and a little bit of wind. I wouldn't even say it was like strong wind. Some small branches, you know, dropped, but nothing like major. Because that's what we were more worried about was trees falling. Because even though I live in a town, there's quite a bit of trees around me. So that's the only thing that we were worried about, and everything is a okay. Uh, though next week, uh, just realized that. Dang it, we should be backpacking, so there will be no podcast uh, next week. But as long as I continue the line and continue to keep on making these, no matter what, we should be good. So overall, this has been a fairly crappy day for me, just due to the hurricane. I'm assuming it's from the hurricane. Uh, I'm getting stuff in at work with mail wise, but lo and behold, this was the day that it was going to be available publicly for everyone to just purchase instead of having to go to specific stores. But today was Dungeons and Dragons Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and it was the next adventure that I'm going to get for my group. Now, I got to be more careful because I am now friends with one of the people I game with. So I can't say anything too revealing or what's going to happen in the adventure in the future. So I got to be pretty vague and stuff about the game now. So I can't say this is what's going to happen next and this is what they're going to be dealing with. So overall, though, the DM's stuff is working out pretty good. I'm doing something a little bit different though next week. Well, actually, yeah, this weekend I'll be doing the backpacking thing probably. So I don't even think there'll be any D&D. I need to clarify some stuff, and we are worrying about getting the dog situated and all that crap. Dogs are a pain in the butt. That's all there is to it. Uh, but for the most part, I've been reading about stuff that's coming up in the adventure, and I'm like, okay, I got the gist of it. But then when it comes to time to sit down and play, even though I have the stuff in front of me, because I'm using Fantasy Grounds, everything's kind of there's not like a bullet point list of stuff that I need to know on the fly. It's done just basically in a kind of more like a story thing. It's like this person is going to have all this information and it's going to be set up in a paragraph form. Well, if a player needs to know something and I don't remember what it is, then I have to start like looking through the paragraphs, and it's a pain in the butt. So I'm going to try something for the next session to make it a little bit better, and I'm obviously not going to show this too long, but basically, oh, it doesn't even show up really. But basically, yeah, I'm doing notes, and I'm like doing like the NPC, uh, what possible other names that they're referred to, their personality, and kind of like what their the whole idea of what they're doing in the adventure and why they are there. So hopefully, once we start getting into the bread and butter, I can actually quickly look down at the paper instead of having to try to read a whole bunch of stuff and hang up the game. Because that's my biggest issue is I want and well, this is my problem with the actual adventures. I want to do stuff on the cuff, but then I also want to be faithful because again, I one of the original characters that they first meet, I had him as a particular character, and his personality in the book is not the same. So it's just I feel like I've betrayed that character, even though I've now officially made it mine. But there might be something later in the adventure that I just haven't read yet that the personality that I gave him, you just can't, work around it type of thing. But we'll see. Uh, so I got off of track already, but this was supposed to come out today. And I knew something was going to be up. But I was like, well, you know what? Maybe Amazon's doing because I got a distribution center like an hour and a half away from me. I'm like, maybe they're doing their little local thing where like an Uber thing where a person can pick up a package and deliver it and they get paid for it. So I was like, well, maybe that's why it hasn't been sent out yet. But lo and behold, I keep on looking throughout the day today, and it still hasn't shipped. And I'm just like, it's not coming. And then finally, like a little bit in the afternoon, like 12 something, I got an email from him saying basically, well, this package is going to be delayed, but it's hilarious because they still have it. Watch it be updated now that I'm going to look at it. But my orders, yeah, it's funny because there we go. It says, oop, if we can see it. Nope, can't see it. Jeez, Joey. But it says it's arriving today by 8 p.m. Yesterday it said it was going to be arriving tomorrow by 11 p.m. I'm like, you better not be coming at basically at midnight. So in the end, due to the hurricane, I'm not getting my package on time, which is annoying. But Water Heist is going to be the next adventure. The good thing though is I did buy it already on Fantasy Grounds, so I do have it that I can technically read on Fantasy Grounds. But reading an adventure and on a computer screen is completely different from what I feel Fantasy Grounds is meant for. It's meant for running the game. It's not meant for reading an adventure. And I just, like to have a physical book where I can read it. So I have a funny feeling because I'm starting to get into this and I have such a kind of like a passion for this thing that I'm not positive, but it might end up turning into a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Because the more I'm like talking about it, the more I'm just like, that's all I'm talking about for the most part. But we're going to try to quickly go through and get past Dungeons and Dragons because I know not all people care about it. But this looks like a really cool adventure. I'm still a little because it is a adventure for levels 1 through 5, and I was originally going to have the characters run through Tomb of Annihilation, and then basically I would transfer them over to Dragon Heist so they can still be the same characters. But I'm changing my mind about that. The only reason is because Dragon Heist is part 1 of a 2-part adventure. So they're coming out with a book in November that's going to bring the characters from Dragon Heist to this new adventure, and by the time they're done that second adventure, it's basically going to be a level 1 through 20. So basically, it's going to go from the very beginning to epic levels. So they're going to basically be going through the whole dang level scheme with Dungeons and Dragons. So I think I'm just going to have them do that. So that way it's more fun, more fluid. Because I'm like, well, what if I want to do the next adventure? Then they might be because would have to level up everything in Dragon Heist. Then they would be at this particular level. Then I would need to level up everything in the Mad Mage, which is yeah, I think it's called Mad Mage of, I don't know. It's something that has to do with Mad Mage. But it's basically it's going to be a dungeon crawl down at the very bottom of a dungeon. There's a dungeon underneath Waterdeep called Undermountain. So that's basically what the next adventure is going to be. So even though I'm not a big fan of dungeon crawls, I really like this Dragon Heist because it's something unique and something new, and there's going to be a lot of role playing with it. Uh, the dungeon crawl is going to kind of, I feel like it might kind of suck, but the cool thing is Waterdeep. I'm almost positive is going to be their home base. They're okay. We need to go back and get supplies or whatever. They're going to go back to Waterdeep. So that's why I think I'm going to like it. Because right now with Tomb of Annihilation, they could go back to the main town if they want, but there's not a whole lot of reason once they go out onto the adventures to return. It's a very basic town. They don't sell much. There's just not a whole lot there. I mean, there's some stuff that you can do, and there's I can do different encounters and stuff, but for the most part, like, the town's not all a whole lot is going on there. And you can make it sound like there's a whole lot, but there's not. There's not any like really cool notable PCs unless I decide to make one. But this Dragon Heist, it's like I already know it's got a lot of cool stuff to bring the world alive, and I think it's going to be really cool that they can actually go back to a central location and they can build friendships with the NPCs, because you're going to have to deal with them on a somewhat regular basis. And that's what I kind of like about it. So, yay. So that didn't arrive today. And then on top of that, there's a program that I haven't used it for when I've been DMing. I did it a little bit, but then I don't know, I just felt a little weird doing it. And I'm not sure if anybody actually enjoyed it enough, but there's a program, obviously, it's right up here on the thing now, called Syrinscape. And to me, it's really cool. It's basically soundscapes for your games. And I would gladly have done it for Tomb of Annihilation, but I couldn't find anything really for Tomb of Annihilation. But I looked around a little bit more, and the really annoying thing with Syrinscape is it's not. They have everything in categories, but according to the categories, you need to use a different app. Now, there's kind of a workaround, but it's still kind of annoying. So Syrinscape it's got fantasy, which is what I was always looking in. I'm like, okay, I need fantasy stuff, so this is what we're going to look in. And then but they also have board games, so they got like a soundscape just for Catan, which is kind of cool, and a couple other ones. And then they got a one for fantasy, or not, sci-fi, and I want to say they have one for modern, maybe. I think it's just sci-fi though. Sci-fi isn't really sci-fi though. There's definitely some sci-fi there, but there's a lot more under that category than you would think. They got like Cthulhu stuff. They got well, I'll just basically get to it. They had the thing that I needed for Tomb of Annihilation when it comes to the sound stuff. Now, if you don't know really what Syrinscape does, I'll have maybe this will show up, but it's basically a soundboard for you to use during your games. So, for example, you just basically hook up a Bluetooth speaker, or you can plug it directly in if you're worried about battery and all that stuff, and you then can play those sounds and stuff, and it just brings the game to life. So naturally with Tomb of Annihilation, there's it's a lot of jungle and stuff. Now they have, for the most part, I can cover most other things. Like they got dungeon sounds, so I can get spooky like music and like rocks falling and all that stuff. Those are easy to find. They got a swamp one, which I'm going to have to get that one. I don't quite have it. I don't got that one yet. But I basically bought a whole bunch of stuff before. But what annoyed me, and I still need to look around. I can't find a good traveling uh sound thing. They do have one, but the music that they use doesn't match what I feel like traveling music should be. It the traveling music that they actually have for that sound set is more spooky and not really like, not what I would think was like, Lord of the Rings, where they're traveling to Mount Doom, where it's kind of got that epic music, but it's not too epic, but it's like chill, like there's nothing going on. We're walking, and we just need it to be entertaining but heroic sounding, but not over the top because it's not an action scene type of thing. And I have yet to find something good for that. But they got the wagons going and the horses clip clopping and all that type of stuff. So anyway, so the soundscape that again I was looking for, it's called Kaiju Island. So it's meant, I guess, for like Godzilla and stuff like that. But it's subtle, but it does its work. It even has dinosaur roars and stuff like that. Which again, if you know what Tomb of Annihilation is kind of built on, there's dinosaurs in this thing. Even though I'm not crazy about that, but I'll play it through the mic. I was going to hook up a speaker and all that stuff, but I figured I could just throw up the iPad right to it. But that gives you kind of an idea. So it's got a subtle music. It's raining again because it's the jungle. Let's see what else this one has. Okay, this one just has like the subtle music, the rain, and some birds and stuff like that. But then they also got different overall selections where I can do island rainfall. And then we got distant presence. So this one adds a little bit of the tribal drums. It adds jungle busy. And then you got danger in the mist. So the rain stops, but it's got dinosaur roars and stuff in it. Birds, all that stuff. Then you got active gathering, which has got basically a whole bunch of stuff in it. But what's cool is you can turn all this stuff off. It fades out. That's another thing I like about it. But you can like pick just rain. So you don't have to have the music. You don't have to have the animals. You can make your own custom thing. And then you can actually set that as a default thing for you to just press that, and it has all the things. You can set the volumes and all that stuff. It's also got some like one-shots that people might find interesting. I don't like the main one-shots, the one-shots that are basically in every single one, because they're stupid stuff like this. And just cheesy. Super, super cheesy. In fact, I wish they would go back and re-record some of that stuff, because some of the stuff, it could come in handy to make your games a little bit more fun. Like, for example, they got a fireball. And that gives you like a fireball sound. Another thing I don't like is there's no way to change the volume on these little one-shots. You either change the overall volume completely, or that's the only way you can change them. I think if you spend like $25 a month up for a subscription thing, then you can go in and change every little tiny detail. But I'm not doing that. I pay for my sounds for the actual sound pack, and then I'm done with it. I'm not paying it for anything else. I hate subscriptions. If I can avoid them, I avoid them. But the actual one shots that kind of go with the actual themes, they're actually pretty cool. This one's got a flute with a little bit of drum going back there. This one's the tribal flute. And then they got one called a jungle flute. It's kind of similar to the first one, but the drum's a little bit more active. Then they got this thing called Epic Hit. I think it's kind of stupid and pointless. It just does some weird stuff. Obviously the cool thing is if you're basically just playing the regular music and whatnot, and all of a sudden you want to get some tension going, you got the dramatic flute, which is so that kind of. And then I got some other stuff, like I bought Tiger Battle. Tiger Battles, I don't think it's going to be very useful too much, but I need to look into the Dungeon Master's Guide and stuff, and I want to actually start looking how to do chases. I think this will be awesome for chases. So, for example, here's some of the. Well, now I'll play the drums. I think the drums will be really cool for chases, but you can adjust them to be more in the background, so it's more subtle, and I think it becomes more useful there. But here's the drums. I really like them. So obviously, I feel like that would be a good for chases. Or maybe like if they're doing like a native sacrificial killing or something like that, build tension and whatnot. But for the most part, it's called Tiger Battle. So guess what it's mainly meant for? Here's they got a jungle during the day, so it's basically it's the jungle without the rain and stuff like that. Then they got jungle at nighttime, and that gives you all the cool nighttime things. But then of course this is when you get to the Tiger Battle, which is basically adding a bunch of tiger sounds. So I mean, there are I can't talk about this because somebody might be listening, but it could come in handy. We'll just say that. But yeah, it's got kind of cool, a lot of cool stuff. Like if you're in a let's bring this up. It's not part of my Tomb of Annihilation campaign setting, but we'll go down here and do the. Where the heck is it? Yeah. This is the friendly tavern. So if you're like hanging out in a tavern, and of course it's got a bard playing in there. So it's kind of cool. And then of course another sound option that you can get is then you can get all of a sudden now this is for the tavern brawl. And then of course you can get rid of the music completely. And then you can do glass smash and punches and stuff like that. But anyway, it's a super cool thing. But once again, we go back to Dragon Heist. They were supposed to announce this is the first time that Syrinscape is literally getting an official D&D soundscape, and Dragon Heist is going to be the first one. They initially said it was going to be coming out on, I think it's the 8th, when uh, local game shops that are cool with Wizards of the Coast, they were going to actually get their copies early, which is it's a really cool idea because that means you can support local gaming shops and get your copy early. And then later on the 18th, everybody like Amazon and all those people, they get their copy. So I think it's a really cool idea to help keep local game shops alive. My issue is the $50 price tag compared to the $30 price tag that I actually paid for. I have a hard time spending that extra money when I got to buy it digitally as well. So, that was originally supposed to come out on the 8th, this official soundscape for Syrinscape, and it was specifically licensed for Dragon Heist. It's going to be sound specifically for this adventure. So apparently, Wizards of the Coast wasn't quite happy with it, so they pushed it back to the 18th. So it's supposed to come out today. I keep on waiting. I'm not going to buy it today because I can't buy it today, but I keep on waiting and waiting because I'm like, they're going to show a video of like what are some of the sounds that you can get out of it. Waiting. It's now 7 o'clock. I guarantee if I check it again, it still won't be up. So it's kind of annoying me. So overall, was supposed to be Dragon Heist Day, and it's turned out to be not so much Dragon Heist Day. For me, anyway. But anyway, if you're into tabletop role-playing games, or even if you want to add some flair to your board games, because they do got a few board games, not a whole lot, but I'm not sure if they just thought that was a cool idea and then in the end just backed off of it because there's not a whole lot. There's like maybe 5 or 6, I think, sounds for board games. But yeah, speaking of that, the kaiju was on the sci-fi thing. In order for you to get the sci-fi sounds into the fantasy app, you need to make a campaign on their website. So that's the kind of annoying thing. It's annoying, but at least I don't have to switch back and forth between apps. So that's the only way you can actually get the sounds into another app. Because if you go and look on the App Store for Android or iOS, or even on their website if you want to download the desktop version, you'll see they got fantasy player and sci-fi player, and I'm like, and board game player. I'm like, why don't you just have a basic player and whatever sound you buy, and it all goes into one app? It's really confusing why they did that, but it is what it is, and I so far am able to kind of deal with it. So on to other things besides basically Dungeons and Dragons themed stuff. I finally got around to, because I was basically bored and I've been wanting to play games, which, by the way, after I said I basically put in 40 hours into Warframe and I built my first actual frame from collecting stuff and all that whatnot, I built it, I put it on, and I haven't played it since. So I think I'm burnt out with it for now. But so I finally, conveniently, I got both of Yooka-laylee and A Hat in Time through Humble monthly bundles. So I was happy because I kind of wanted both of them. I wanted Yooka-laylee just because that was the first one that I think really made it big. Like it was going to give you this N64 3D adventure collectathon type thing like Banjo-Kazooie, because it's from some of the old guys that worked at Rare. And I was like, oh, I definitely want to get that, and it looked beautiful. A Hat in Time, it was kind of like, oh, it looks like they're wanting to do what Yooka-laylee did. Now, I'm not sure the production times for any of these. I'm not sure if A Hat in Time was kind of like being worked on before Yooka-laylee or if it was after Yooka-laylee or whatever. But A Hat in Time overall seems like the underdog on first impressions. But I will have to agree. I shouldn't give I shouldn't say this right away because I've only roughly played the first world and I played a little bit of the second world. But everything that from what I'm hearing from Yooka-laylee is kind of true. It's such a beautiful game, but the worlds seem empty. Every it's weird because I'm thinking of like Mario 64, and I'm like those worlds seem alive, but overall there wasn't a whole lot going on in those worlds. Like the actual enemies that you're having to deal with are kind of few and far between. Like if you do like the first level, it's like you jump out of the pipe, and then you go a few feet and there's some Goombas, and then you go another few feet and there's some Goombas, and then of course you go up the ramp and there's the chain chomp thing, but there's not like a massive amount of stuff going on, but yet those levels for some reason seem to be so alive and vibrant and just real as much as they're not. And Yooka-laylee, I don't. The enemies don't seem to challenge you. Then again, the Goombas really didn't need to. They didn't really challenge you either. But yeah, they don't. There's something about it that it feels like it's missing something. And I'm like, well, maybe it's because we're so used to modern games that uh something seems like it's missing. But if you literally place Yooka-laylee back in 1995, you would be okay with it, and it would actually be a great game. But well, if it had those graphics, everybody's just like, "Oh my god!" But overall, it's missing something. It but it's one of those things where it's like you're trying to figure out what it's missing, and it's hard to put your finger on what is missing, like a recipe. Like it's like I like it, but it's missing something. It's okay, but it could be great, and that's kind of sad because it does look like it has a lot of potential. And then it does of course has the guy or the character which I kind of like is who you get to learn all your moves from. His name's Trouser, and he's a snake in a pair of pants, so he's a trouser snake. So it's like that's funny. But between the two, A Hat in Time, like most everybody says, is like forget Yooka-laylee, get A Hat in Time. Also, another thing I hate about Yooka-laylee is the fact that they literally tried to do a Banjo-Kazooie thing. Like even though we have the space now to have voice acting, they didn't do voice acting. All they did was like get a whole bunch of grunts and moans and different things, put them in a synthesizer, and it's like, and that's basically how the people talk. In fact, it's so annoying they even have a short mode where basically they just do a few grunts and then the text just moves. So you don't have to be annoyed with the constant. It's so annoying. In fact, it's even the short mode. I'm just like, should I just turn it off? And now I'm trying to figure out what the big deal with JonTron being on Yooka-laylee and having them take him off because there's no voice acting. It's all he probably did was do a bunch of grunts, like 20 grunts, probably max. And they just put him in a synthesizer, put him across the keyboard, and then just started doing its thing. I'm like, there's no reason to take him off that. Now, apparently, JonTron is in A Hat in Time as well. I don't know, but I just kind of saw that by just like searching, doing a quick search. But that actually is cool. Hat in Time is actually cool because it does have voice acting. So right there, it's already above Yooka-laylee. Then it's got the world is alive. it feels like a living, breathing thing. Even though the enemies again aren't all that hard, but the world comes to life, and it's one of those things where you continue to come back to the same world, and of course they give you different missions, kind of like Mario 64, and even though it's the same world, uh, but it just seems to be way, 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 way more better, and it gives you that feel of what I remember of Mario 64. I'm never a big adventure fan to begin with, so I never got into Banjo Kazooie or Conker's Quest or any of those. I just didn't care for them, even though it's rare, which I should have cared about rare back then. I just never did care about rare after GoldenEye. I'm just like, well, no, I did. I was excited for Perfect Dark, but Perfect Dark kind of let me down. It just wasn't GoldenEye, even though I think it probably is a superior version than GoldenEye. It's just in my eyes, it wasn't GoldenEye, so it just wasn't the same. So overall, I'm just like, I liked Rare for GoldenEye, and that's about it. Uh, but yeah, you could see. I think the problem was Yooka-laylee guys were literally trying to be 1995, where Hat in Time was like, wouldn't it be cool if we made a cool game and have the vibe and feel of 1995, but not be 1995? So I think that might be the big issue here with Yooka-laylee's problem versus A Hat in Time. So even though I got it for like both of these for $12 each, well, a lot less than that, but overall because there's more games in the package, but I kind of consider $12. Uh, Easily get A Hat in Time. If I guess if you happen to just get Yooka-laylee by accident like I did, sure, why not? But A Hat in Time, if you miss Mario 64 and those cool 3D adventure games, definitely get A Hat in Time. Uh, all right, on to the next one, and another game that I got. Again, in Humble Monthly Bundle. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I love Humble Bundle, and especially I like their Humble Monthly Bundle because they always give me something that I kind of want. I always wanted. It's on my wish list, but every time there's a Steam sale, I'm just like, meh, meh. And as sad as it is, Amazon gave me Battle Chef Brigade, but because it wasn't on Steam, I never got around to playing it. So now that I got it on Steam with a Humble Monthly Bundle, I got to try it out. I need to get back into trying out more of it because I'm sure it's going to get more uh bigger and better. But one of the it's a match 3 game, but a little bit more than that. It's also got a little adventure. I guess you would kind of call it beat 'em up. So you got to go and hunt your food. So you basically uh kill stuff and grab all their parts and stuff, and then you basically go and cook the stuff. Now you also got magic powers as well, so you can like do like a hurricane to help take out more stuff in a less amount of time, type of thing. So that's interesting. So it keeps it. It's surprisingly entertaining for a match 3 game because it's got a little bit added extra to it, but it's a little bit different in the match 3 area too. Uh, and it's difficult. I'm horrible at puzzles, and this is one of those games that it's going to take me a little while to get. But instead of just doing like a Bejeweled or was it Honey Pop, where you just like grab one ball and you can just move it over, and it's like, hey, match 3, I did it. This one, you move stuff in fours, and it's almost like a Rubik's cube in that way, where you can only grab a square of fours. So, you're two on the top, two on the bottom, and then you rotate those, and then you can actually have to make that match and get three in a row. So it makes it a little bit more difficult because you can't just grab one and move it. Uh, it takes a little bit of time because I'm horrible at puzzles and stuff, but we're gonna try to keep on going with it and see how far I can get before I lose my mind. Because you get so close to matching three, but then you you have issues because I'm like, all I need to do is move that one ball. But if I move that one ball, I'm moving like three other ones, and now it's a real pain in the butt. So uh, anyway, uh, yeah, so it's interesting, and I like the voice acting. I like the characters. As you can see on the thing, it's kind of got like an anime esque type vibe to it. Very colorful, very cartoony. So it's really interesting, and I so far like it a lot. But I'll let you know further as I play it. And surprisingly, they just announced this today. Uh, for a second there, I thought they were. I almost got misconstrued, and I hope I am still not misconstrued. But I saw an article. It's like Gwent's almost coming out of beta, and now Gwent was supposed to have an adventure aspect to it, so like a single player campaign type thing where you can actually go through a story through basically doing card games. And for a second there, I thought this is what that was, but I'm almost positive though, and I'm kind of excited about this since I love story-driven games. And even though Witcher is a very story-driven game, it I like basically where it's like you don't have to do really focus on anything. You're just focusing on the story. Because again, I love story-driven games. They announced ThroneBreaker, The Witcher Tales. Now, because it's called The Witcher Tales, something tells me, and especially with the artwork and stuff, I believe it's going to be a CD Projekt Red exclusive, but done in the style of Telltale games. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. So, I'm definitely going to jump on board, which, by the way, I think I'm going to be on backpacking. But yeah, Life is Strange 2 comes out, I think, next week. So I gotta get that pre-order before it's too late, because even though the pre-order stuff is stupid, I want the pre-order stuff because I love Life is Strange. Uh, and now we're going to basically move on to the last little bit of news before we call this podcast over. Again, not a whole lot. You'd think there would be, but again, there isn't. For me, anyway. There's some stuff that I could talk about, but I don't. Yeah, I just don't care. Uh, YouTube Gaming, the app and the website, is going bye bye. Apparently, Google has an issue, I feel, where they make these platforms and then they don't follow through with them. They just kind of, it's like, well, there it is. If you want to use it, you can use it. If not, I don't care. So that's my biggest issue with Google. I also think this was a stupid idea in general. You can get all this stuff on YouTube Gaming on regular YouTube. I guess the fact that you don't have a bunch of dumb videos that you don't care about when you go into the YouTube Gaming site or app, and it's just focused on gaming strictly. I guess that's kind of a nice feature, but I never felt like, oh, wait, before I go to youtube.com and search for something I want to watch, I better go to the gaming site because I don't want to be distracted from other stuff. I usually just like, look up the game that I want to see. I look for reviews and then I skip the first couple because the first couple is like GameStop and what's it called? Chizui, that site that was almost here from the beginning. Dang it. I forget it already. Again, that's how I don't care about it because I never go to that site. Anyway, those reviews are like they're like 2 minutes, and I'm like, I can't. I need a review that actually tells me more than 2 minutes worth about the game. Even though they do pack a bit in those little 2 minute reviews, I at least want a 10, 15, or 45-minute review. I want in-depth stuff so I know that I'm making the right purchase. Or I'll go find like a video like who's the one that I watch regularly because he uploads regularly. Jesse Cox. I'll watch what he's got coming out. But anyway, yeah, they're ending this, and again, it's your typical YouTube or Google issue where it's like we built this cool platform that you might like, and we could probably move it forward and make it better and advertise it better, but you know what? Screw it. We're just gonna let it die. So yeah, you're no longer going to have YouTube gaming. So anyway, hopefully I didn't bore you too much. Hopefully you maybe find some cool information with like the Syrinscape program if you didn't know about it and all that nonsense. But anyway, thanks for watching if you did watch and or listen because I'm going to upload this on Thursday night for the people to listen to on an audio podcast, or I'm going to upload it to YouTube. Anyway, I'll see y'all later. Bye.